trauma are events, circumstances, chronic circumstances. So it's not just one day, I saw my parents killed in an automobile accident. That's traumatizing. But chronic pain is traumatizing also. Irresolvable pain, chronic loneliness is traumatizing. Harm to the human soul that apart from significant intervention
remains, is ongoing.
Not only remains, okay. But so here's what we have understood in trauma to do. So this is part of the answer. It literally fragments. It fragments. So I would come back and say, and this is what they're finding out in neuroscience, but this is Isaiah 61. Jesus knew, no. Your humanity outside of Eden, so you don't live in the habitat for which you were made. There are events, circumstances, and chronic things, so sometimes big, sometimes over time, that fragment. They literally fragment the soul. And
sift as wheat.
Oh, it's brutal, because what happens, it literally fragments the brain. And this is why people who go through traumatic events will often not be able to remember them, because their brain is like, not talking to the hemispheres.
Oh,
are not,
that's what you mean.
Not talking to each other. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So like Bessel van der Kolk in his famous book, The Body Keeps the Score on trauma.
My wife
this stuff
was helped greatly by that.
Oh, it's stored in you, folks, and it is fragmenting. Now here's the thing. Here's what they've also been observing for a while. And this is where we're going to get into, like, the gorgeousness of the gospel is incredible. Okay.
Next book title, by the way. The gorgeousness of the gospel.
Parts of you remain stuck at the age it occurred. The betrayal, the abuse, the violence, the harm. And again, the inner child and now Schwartz's thing on IFS and parts work and that sort of thing. So the therapeutic community has been observing this for quite a while now, but we're finally coming to some maturity in this in Christendom, where we understand, wait a second, this is Isaiah 61. Jesus warned us all about this. Leb Shabar, actual fragmentation. You are 6, 12, 14, and 21, and your current age. And this is going to help people loads, because they'll get in certain circumstances. The boss is angry, and suddenly you feel 8. And you're like, this is so embarrassing. I feel 8. I just want to run out of the room. I just want to run. I want to run. I don't. You go, part of you is 8, stuck at 8. There is a little you in there. And you ask for stories. So this is where the ministry of healing prayer, integrative prair, this is St. John of the Cross, like how lovingly, you do move within my innermost being, right? Like, that inner presence of Christ. How tenderly, he says, how tenderly you move within my heart. The most beautiful work going on right now, it is helping people let Christ in to those young places, because they will take to Jesus very quickly. They don't like being stuck. They're usually in the bedroom where it took place, or on the playground, or watching the house burn, or whatever the trauma was. I had a dear friend who literally did see his father die in front of him in an automobile accident. This is one of my closest friends, who is a psychotherapist, by the way. And we're at a time, we were fishing together one day. And he over the years, I was just paying attention to the kind of stories he would tell. And he would tell a lot of stories about death. And so finally one day I said to him, I'll use a different name, I call him David. I said, David, do you notice that you have almost a relationship with death? And he's like, wow, no. I said, well, what's the significant death in your life? And he's like, I didn't know this about his story. He's like, well, when I was 4, I saw my father die before me in an automobile accident. Literally saw the blood and everything. I'm like, okay. So that's trauma. That's fragmented, and part of you is 4. Okay. Part of you is 4. We're sitting on the bank of a lake. And I said, could we invite Christ to that place? Can we just open up the heart? This is the Revelation 3. If you open the door, he'll come in. Can we ask Jesus to come to that 4-year-old? And in some guided, integrative prayer, which is very, very simple. And by the way, I know we're going to get to my new book, but people are going, well, how do I do this? 2 chapters are given to this in the new book.
In this new book?
Yes.
We'll have a link below. Experience Jesus Really.
Yeah. So this is the epicenter of the book because, as I said, I think trauma is the primary opportunity of the church and the gospel because Jesus is really good at doing this. He's great at healing human souls. So we're sitting on the bank, and I said, can we just invite Jesus to the 4-year-old? Can we let him in? He's like, yes, absolutely. We're sitting there. And then you can just start paying attention. Okay, so what are you feeling right now? I am feeling terrified. Now he's a mature man on a sunny day by a gorgeous lake. I'm like, okay, we got to it. You're in terror right now. That's the 4-year-old. Will the 4-year-old let Jesus come? And I'll just ask him. I said, 4-year-old David, will you let Jesus come to you? Yes. They'll almost always say yes. Please. Jesus walks into the scene. And this is like all of this is so much more accessible, folks. So all of you who have loved reading the mystics, the Christian mystics, down through the ages and wondered about these visitations and these lovely things. Folks, this is far more close to you than you know and far more readily available. May Jesus come. Yes. And he saw. In his heart, he saw Christ approach the 4-year-old, take him out of the scene of the accident in his embrace, okay? And then what we typically do is we ask, and Jesus, would you now bring the young part into where you live in the center of our being? So Christ, this Ephesians 3, Christ now dwells in your heart, right? He is the center of our being. He reintegrates the fragmentation. And those feelings of terror and his obsession with death are gone. Gone for years gone, because this is 20 years ago, the story I'm telling you right now. Gone, because the fragment caused by trauma has been reintegrated by Jesus. The soul is healed through union with Christ. This is gospel, because this is available regardless of whether you have $10,000 and 2 years to work with a psychotherapist, which I bless. I bless that word.
Yeah.
But this is available to every human being anywhere on the planet at any time.
Yeah.
Christ comes.
Mm-hmm.